April 6, 1998. The first line up here, I started out with, right here, cave. And I crossed it out and wrote analytic overlay. I actually thought I was drawing a picture of a cave originally. It was so big. This is the image of a human being, to give you an idea of scale. I think the lower portion is drive. That's all drive unit. And it's some kind of vehicle. I'm getting I always say a taste of these metals. It's approximate size. Weight, this is millions, 1.5 million pounds. It's really huge. And I think what this is probably an empty transport. I think all the really big ships are all motherships. They're all transport ships. And I don't think they do anything other than beam things in and beam things out. I think all their vehicles are interdimensional. They're time machines. They're portages. They come and they go. And I think the only time we see them is when they're coming and when they're going. The rest of the time they have an envelope or a way of hiding. Or they're just not here. They come and they go. That's their only function. They're carriers. It's the smaller ships are the ones that stick around. They're the ones that are brought in and leave, or left here rather. Those are the ones that we actually see more of. But the big ones, the motherships, are the ones that come and go. They're the ones that carry things in and carry things out. The transport vehicles. That's my sense of it anyway. This one's a little hard to see. This is kind of a figure eight, but it kind of waffles around the whole area. And this is, that word there is corona. It creates a corona around the vehicle. And that's actually the vehicle, I think. It's a sketch I was doing. And I think that figure eight is kind of a force field of some kind. That's a larger sense of it. And what it does is it creates you can't read the writing, I know. That's a corona. And that right there is, I call that a singularity. And that's a larger figure eight. And this narrows into the way it bends or twists space-time in some way. I'm not exactly sure how that works. It's just the way it feels or the way I sense it in the remote viewing. But that's the way the motherships come and go, maybe. I think they have two different kinds of drive. The star-to-star is the mothership, and the planetary is the smaller ships. They have the anti-gravity drives. Or better than anti-gravity, I think it's they negate inertia, would be a better way to say it. By negating inertia, what that means is it's better than anti-gravity. When you negate inertia, all you have to do is flick your little finger and you just keep moving the opposite direction till you flick your little finger in the other direction. So it takes no energy at all to do miraculous things. If you have no inertia in your body, you can basically lean in one direction and you just keep moving in the direction you lean until you lean the opposite direction. It's a better mode of mobility. This is how a drive works, I think. I don't understand it. I just write it down. This is a negative side, positive side. There's some kind of turbine force that runs this way. This is a liquid metal in here. But the liquid metal is made up of something I call neutral liquid nanometal, for lack of a different word. And they're individual little fragments so small you can't see them, but they're almost can't see them. They're individually designed to create a field, and there's a centrifuge force that pushes them to the outside of the field in some way. Maybe that's meaningful to somebody. Like I say, I just produce the data. I don't worry about how it works. Maybe that's meaningful to somebody. Somebody will get the tape and go, oh yeah, that helps. I don't know. Maybe it's a way of producing the corona or something. Alien sleeping pod. When you get inside the ship and you start looking for aliens, you almost never see one. And I think that's a deliberate problem. I think they know when you're looking at them or trying to look at them. The interesting thing about an alien sleeping pod is that I'm not sure if it's used for sleep. I'm not sure if that's what it is. My sense of it is it might be a rejuvenation pod or a sleeping pod or a hideout. I don't know what it is. But I do know that that's what they wear. That's a suit of some kind, a skin of some kind, an environmental unit of some kind when they're not in that pod. It's kind of interesting. The only other part of an alien I've ever seen is their hand on a control. It looks very much like our hand, the difference being it's long and it's thin, and it has very ugly nails. Very pointed, very narrow. Wouldn't want to get in a cat fight with them unless I was armed. But they're very gentle with them. That's my sense. I've never seen a whole alien outside of a suit. I think a very tiny fraction of UFOs are alien aircraft. Very small fraction. Maybe 0.25%. I think the vast majority of UFOs are home-built. The reason I say that is because of all the damage they do. I think the actual alien craft are detuned to our time-space. So they don't do a lot of damage to our time-space. Except when they actually make contact with it, which is very rare. I think they're only visible when they're morphing in and out of our time-space. They deliberately avoid us otherwise. I think they make contact individually. They have a sense of who's open to contact and who isn't. And it's not who's open in a sense of who will really want to talk to them, but who's open in the sense of who's not going to run off and get something and whack them to death. Or who's not going to get ugly, or who's not going to have a coronary when they actually see one. Or who isn't going to turn them into see what I got, or turn them into a mystical being or whatever. I think the larger ships are transports only. I think all of their ships are not built, they're grown. I think they're actually grown like crystals. I got a lot of remote viewing data on the ship's construction, but it's impossible to display. You can't draw it. it's even difficult to talk about. The ships communicate with the occupants. It's almost like organic or chemical in some way, neurological in some way. They actually grow the ship on a molecule-to-molecule basis. They're so light and intricately strong, like the structure of a bone would be. Everything on board the ship is intricately tied to their space-time. In other words, when they're here, it's still tied to their space-time, not ours. So it's very difficult for us to relate to it and them to relate to us in a space-time sense. And everything on board is mentally tied to their ship and to each other. So they know more about what's going on within their ship and within each other. So they're very sensitive to when they've been invaded by another entity. We've never seen an alien that is not wearing a suit. So when you see the guys with the funny eyes and a little slit for the nose and a little slit for the mouth, that's a suit. That's an environmental suit. You're not seeing the alien. And the reason why you're not seeing the alien is because they're probably butt ugly. Yeah, I mean, what's your reaction in most cases when you see that big, hairy, ugly cockroach? They understand that we have deep-seated emotional reactions to some things. They understand that. And so they're not going to show us what they look like. There's probably few human beings on the planet that have ever seen a truly stripped-down alien. They know that we probably couldn't handle it yet. And it's probably why we won't have a full species-to-species contact for a long time, because they see what we do when we react to other humans of different color or different culture or different religion. I mean, they watch our TV. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. So we see aliens in suits. And that's why they make contact with us as individuals, in the hopes that maybe they can alter what's going on.